from the Newswires. Powered by Kangaroo Fern Media Lab.
The Reserve Bank is being tipped to lift interest rates for the 8th straight month at its final board meeting of the year today. An expected 25 basis point rise would take the cash rate to 3.
Hi, this is Miko Santos and welcome from the Newswire of redwires.au. On today's episode, we're talking about the recent RBA official cash rate raise again today at 3.1%. And what's going to be the effects of this cash rate again to ordinary people like me or like you? And what's going to be happening next? Because I think the inflation is still high. So what's going to be happening? Are we continue getting more official cash rate hike, or will still remain like that? On today's episode, we're talking to Professor Jakob Madsen. He's a professor of economics at Department of Economics, University of Western Australia. Please welcome to the show, Professor Jakob Madsen. How are you today?
Pleasure to be here.
So, first question. This is the 8th times that RBA already done their cash rate hike. Why?
Oh, well, the only thing that matters to them at the moment is to get the inflation under control. And to do that, they want to restrain the demand. And to restrain the demand, they have to increase the interest rates. When the interest rate goes up, mortgage gets more expensive, so people spend less on other goods. They have to spend more money on mortgage. The investment goes down, investment in machinery, equipment, in buildings, and so on. So the whole building sector is going to feel the downturn, feel the strain there. So that's essentially what they're trying to do.
Well, there's a lot of people now, some organizations say the rate increase is to push more Australian into hardship in this period, in this Christmas.
Yeah. Australians have been extremely spoiled over the last 15, 20 years by the lowest interest rates we have seen in a whole millennium. It's extraordinarily low. A rate of 3% on mortgage, or 2% even, is totally unheard of. So what's going on at the moment is, well, we're going back to realities. We're getting back to the normal how it used to be. And the thing what people, they didn't think about, and that's because it's all very complicated. And this is this. When inflation is high, you pay a high mortgage, but you pay off your debt very quickly because the inflation reduced the real value of debt. And that's the thing we lived in. I remember my parents went through the 80s with 20% interest rate and inflation 15%. Was paid off after 10 years. All good. They could move on with life. Today, with low interest rates for too long time, they've been used to, well, house prices will go up, so we'll have the equity to stand any headwind. But that's not realities. We have been living in a bubble for 20 years, and that's all. We're back to normalities, and that's going to be costly.
So, some of them is going to be going high, the mortgage interest will be going high. But how about the wage that we have is still low? Is that going to be...
That's the thing that has happened, though. Actually, in large part of the Anglo-Saxon world, the real wage have not increased much in many years. And even in the United States, the last 50 years, the real wage of low-skilled labor has not increased an inch. And what we're up against today is that we have had slow increase in wages, and that partly reflects that the productivity has been extremely poor. The growth in productivity has been very poor over the last 20 years, after the GFC particularly. And we know real wages should follow productivity increases. So better productivity, the firms can pay higher. So but still wages have not increased sufficiently. And it's quite a complicated economics matter, and I can't explain it here in simple terms, but the thing is that partly it's because technology has gone in favor of capital, not labor. It's a bit complicated, but the idea is certainly the technological progress we have experienced over the last 50 years, IT, has favored some part of the population. Some wage earners have really earned a lot by this technology, and others that are just left behind. And part of this is obviously because some don't have the education that's required in the labor force to be very flexible in the job market, and that has really left many behind.
So, on the statement of RBA saying the labor market remain very tight, with many firms having difficulty hiring workers, and the unemployment rate declined to 3.4% in October. Is this going to be effect for this occupation cash rate hike?
Oh, it's definitely an important thing you touch on there. Unemployment again, that has been below what we have experienced for a very long time, and particularly we have to go back to the 60s, and that's really the only time in capitalism history that unemployment has been down to 4.3 to 1%. And that's been what the Reserve Bank has focused on. They said, well, the unemployment is low, and that puts pressure on the labor market. We haven't seen among the low-income earners, but certainly in the middle and the high-income earners, they have certainly had a wage increase, you can feel. And that's what the Reserve Bank wants to reduce. They want to increase employment. In other words, unemployment is too low because the shortage of labor push up wages. At least that's supposed to be the mechanism that's at work. So what we're going to see, I believe, next year is not going to be a good year, and particularly not the year after. Unemployment is going to increase. Real income is going to go down, and the issue here is that it's because we pay for more what we import, particularly oil, our energy resources, and that's clearly going to be paid by somebody, and that's going to be paid by everybody in the society. So it's not looking good. Unemployment is going up. House prices are going to go down. A crash, I don't know, but it's not looking good. The trouble is we have been used to the most unnatural increase in house prices over 25 years. That's not been experienced in the world history in any country. And that's really where we need to get a bit lower on the house price. And that's going to cost jobs, plenty of jobs, and plenty of hardship among particularly low-income earners.
So, how about the home buyers and the savers? Are they benefit on this this cash rate high? Or they
It's an interesting question because you would say usually if inflation is almost 7% as we see now, the interest rate should be more than 7% to kind of keep the real value of your lending intact. That's not what we're seeing actually. Savers, they pay money in real terms to lend our money. Mortgage holders, even if they have their hardship, no question, but still they are paying less than they really should, which means they're actually earning. You are getting money from savings. So it's from having a mortgage. So it does pay off to have a debt. The thing that's happening now is really just the real value of debt goes down. So it's a good way to pay off your debt, but it's a bit of a paradox that goes on here. So and that's why we can expect interest rates to increase. You need to get them up to the inflation level at least.
Professor Jakob, is this the last time we're gonna increase the cash rate, or are we expecting more?
Oh, they're not good times ahead. They're definitely going to go up. The thing is, they take one step at a time, because if they give a big shock, it's going to shock the whole economy. It runs down the tube very quickly. So they want to get the inflation down at any cost. And I talked to some Reserve Bank members, also in Europe, the European Central Bank. Well, they say we're going to increase the interest rate until inflation is gone. It's very simple. But it is tough, and that means that interest rates has to go up. Inflation may go down, we don't know. Probably it will go down, but it will stay up at least 5% for some time. And that means interest rates have to go up there. So yes, to your question, the Reserve Bank will continue to increase its interest rate.
Thank you so much for that. So just the last question. What is your advice to ordinary people who do not understand why this cash rate keep on going high?
Well, I've always thought that it's not a good idea to take too much debt, because it's going to be, in the worst case scenario, you have to leave the house, you're going to on the street, and rent rates are incredibly high at the moment. So to the ordinary people, save. And that has always been what I've been brought up with, and I think it's the best thing I have in my life. And I think people should clearly think about that house prices are not going up in the future. And if they're not going up, the debt has to be paid back the hard way. And the only way they can do that is to save and not expect anything. There's nothing coming cheap in this world here. It's only hard work and saving.
Thank you so much, Professor Jakob Madsen, Professor of Economics, Department of Economics, University of Western Australia. Thank you so much. This is another episode from the Newswires at redwires.au. And this is Miko Santos. See ya.